Calling all cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office calling all cars. Attention all cars to broadcast 255 regarding a missing person. Be on the lookout for a woman described as blonde, 5 feet 5 inches, weight about 140 pounds. This woman speaks with a strong accent. May be headed for Yugoslavia. That's all. Rosenquist.
Whatever the major nations of the world decide to do, if anything, about the limitation of armaments, this much is a certainty. There can be no disarmament in the modern war against the enemies of society. Officers of the law would be battling against overwhelming odds were they forced to fight with obsolete guns, antiquated automobiles, and inferior gasoline that shows a yellow streak when called upon to meet an emergency. They must have the best of every kind of equipment. That is why it means so much to you as an individual motorist to know that Rio Grande Cracked is the gasoline chosen for this vital, distinctive public service. To know that wherever it is sold, Rio Grande Cracked supplies the quicker getaway, greater speed, maximum power and mileage for more police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency equipment wherever it is sold than any other brand. It is important to know that, like your city and county officials, the heads of your California state and federal governments also use this superior, equal to every emergency gasoline. It's no farther away than the nearest red and white Rio Grande dealer who specializes in Rio Grande Cracked, the most highly and justly recommended gasoline sold in the West. The story we are to hear tonight was secured through the cooperation of the office of Sheriff Eugene Biscaluz of Los Angeles County. Sheriff Biscaluz is in San Francisco on official business and has consented to open our program from the studios of KSFO.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. One of the quickest ways to sour the milk of human kindness is to hit a man in the pocketbook. However, in the story we are to hear tonight, we find a novel situation wherein the victims of a very clever swindler refused to believe that they had been swindled. The public should be aware of the depredations of a vast army of clever people who are constantly using their wits to live at the expense of their fellow men. Had many of the persons whom we shall hear about tonight been more alert to the operations of this type of criminal, a great deal of money would have been saved, and many words of sympathy would not have been wasted on an appreciative crook. I sincerely hope that tonight's story will bring home the fact that crime does not pay.
Our scene opens in the office of the Bunco Squad of the Sheriff's Department. Deputy A.W. Willey and John Pennywit receive a visitor.
Frankly, I can't understand the attitude of Sheriff Biscaluz. I told him a woman had been kidnapped, and he sent me to the Bunco Squad. It's insulting to a fine woman. She is the most idealistic woman I have ever met. Everyone in Hollywood believes in her. She's tremendously rich.
She's a macaroni queen.
And she did a little paper hanging.
What do you mean by that expression, paper hanging?
You've been sent to us because even if she is a spaghetti queen, when she goes around hanging paper...
Excuse me. Deputy Willie means she passed bad checks. That's just a slang expression for it.
But she's been kidnapped and forced to cash these checks.
Just a minute. I know you're quite idealistic in your opinion of your friends, but as a writer, you can understand this. You can't prove Frances Krager's been kidnapped.
But we have the proof that she passed phony checks. That's why you've got to talk to the Bunco Squad until there's some proof she's been kidnapped. So let's talk.
Just tell us all you know about her, and we'll find her.
First, you must give me your word that everything I tell you will be in strictest confidence. Frances is a close friend of practically every important person in Hollywood, and they want her found, don't you understand? Not arrested.
Sure. Now, what about this spaghetti queen stuff she's been stringing you with?
It's macaroni, and she hasn't been stringing anybody. Frances has been entertained in wealthy homes and has told us of her wonderful plans to help the people of her native land, Yugoslavia. You see, the people in that country speak so many different dialects, it makes it awfully hard.
Oh, my dear, I think that's simply wonderful. It's the most altruistic thing I've ever heard.
As a producer for Colossal Pictures Incorporated, I can safely say it's not only altruistic, it's all terrific.
Really, Francis, I think the whole world should know what you're going to do.
Oh, please. I do not want the world to know. I do not want anyone to know. It must be a secret. For I do not want the credit for helping the people I love.
You're so frightfully genuine. That's the real reason all Hollywood has taken you to its heart.
They tell me in Yugoslavia I have also inherited the title of Duchess.
Really?
But I will not have it so. I wish to be just one of my people.
I know I'm hopelessly dull, but how can you teach them? What was it you wanted to teach them?
Oh, you cannot understand. The poor little children, they must learn to speak 3 different dialects in my country before they can speak to each other. It is so hard.
Dialects there should be a law against. But we take plenty gross out of that country with pictures right now.
Ah, that's the point. They love the moving pictures. I shall spend my fortune to have pictures made for them in one popular dialect. They will soon all speak 1 instead of 3.
That's an idea. It's not only colossal, it's big.
But you haven't heard all of it. Tell them, Francis.
I shall establish a fund in the schools to teach English, so they may enjoy the regular American film.
On a silver platter, you should be getting the Academy Award.
Oh, it is so embarrassing that I have not my money yet.
You will never tell us anything about yourself. Where did this fortune come from?
Yes, tell us.
My uncle, Anton Clemench in Yugoslavia, died, and leave my brother and I a string of macaroni factories. Also $8 million between us. Oh, it is very sad. I must wait for the estate to be settled.
My dear, don't worry about it.
Certain that Frances Krager is in danger of some sort. The news of a fortune like that will get around, and she's such a sincere and trusting soul. Oh, we're all most anxious about her.
Yes, I'm sure you are. Just how much did she get into, how much did you help her?
That is not the point. Even if I knew, I wouldn't mention it. We want her protected. That is all I can tell you. So I'll come back tomorrow and expect to get some report of her from you.
Oh, we'll do everything we can.
And please remember to be discreet.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
I don't know. We better go easy. Why should she have killed the golden geese with that rubber paper?
That's mixing metaphors. Let's see what the banker with the bouncing paper has to say. This is Deputy Sheriff Willie of the Bunko Squad. Let me speak to your manager.
Maybe he was one of her tea-drinking partners, too.
Hello? I'm calling to find out what you're going to do with that surprise check Francis Krager gave you. Sure, it's the Bunko Squad. He doesn't think we're at all nice. Sure, there's some mistake. A bad check's always a mistake. A bad one. Of course, she's a fine woman. But have you checked up on this fortune in Yugoslavia? Oh, you think it would be insulting to her? All right. We just wondered.
So that is that. And when a hard-shell banker blubbers all over his vest about a woman with a beautiful soul...
And with her $650 paper hanging under his nose...
Who are we to doubt the spaghetti and meatball queen?
It's macaroni and bologna. Sheriff's office. Willie speaking. Oh, so your bank got the other $650 check. Yeah, I was talking to him. He's not going to do anything about it. Oh, you are? That's fine. Just come right on down. Goodbye. The other banker doesn't believe in any Yugoslavian Santa Claus. He's going to swear out a warrant for Francis, and that's all we need.
Why, the old meanie.
To the home of Francis Krager went Detectives Willie and Pennywitt. The officers sought information.
Yes.
Good morning. This is the home of Frances Krager, isn't it?
Yes, but she's not in.
We know she's not here. We're investigating her disappearance.
Oh, I'm so glad. Won't you come in?
Thank you. I see you know that she's disappeared.
Yes, I'm Mrs. Gray, her housekeeper. So many of her friends have been calling up. She has more friends than anyone I ever worked for. And I'm as worried as they are about her. Do you think anything has happened to her?
Well, we don't think so. You knew her quite well. Can you tell us anything about her that might give us some idea where she is?
Only that with everyone knowing about her fortune, she might be in danger. She's so kind to everyone and so unsuspecting. I'm really frightened.
Did anyone ever have anything against her? Did she have any enemies?
Not a one in the world. Everybody loved her.
Well, then, we're going to have to make an unusual request. We'd like to look through some of her personal effects. Letters and that sort of thing, you know. It might give us some clue as to where she is.
Certainly. Just come upstairs.
Thank you.
If anything's happened to her, I'm going to feel just terrible. I was more of a friend to her than a servant. She was that way with everybody. She was just like a queen.
So we've heard.
There's her room. If there's anything else I can do, just let me know.
Thank you, we will.
This is a queen's boudoir, all right.
Yeah. Hey, we better go plenty easy. At least keep our feet off the bedspread.
Why is it that every time I've been up late the night before, I've got to work in a bedroom the next day? Uh-oh. Torn up letters in the wastebasket. You patch them together while I look through the dresser drawers.
You always give me the interesting work.
Yeah. There's enough clothes here for the Yugoslavian army, if it was female.
Well, these letters aren't any puzzle. They all tell the same story. And the signatures look like the real McCoy. They're from some of the biggest shots in the picture business. Invitations to parties, dinners, and stuff.
Here's the evidence of her trip to Europe. It's right on top here. I'll bet she's been handling it recently. Well, we'll just borrow it and get some nice, fresh fingerprints.
A passport? Every passport has the next of kin to be notified in case of accident. See what that one says.
Well. Mrs. Sally Nelson, Southgate, California. Relationship, daughter.
Sally's going to have some visitors if we can just find Southgate.
I knew all that money wouldn't bring anything but grief to Mom. She just ain't the type to have a lot of money.
Well, then you're sure she did have it left to her.
Of course. I saw it announced in the paper.
What paper?
Why, the one her husband wrote for.
Oh, I see. He wasn't your father.
Nope. My pa was a cowboy. But Mom left him and married a doctor in Salt Lake City, and then she left him and married Frank Krager in Chicago. She hasn't had a happy life.
Yeah, but she has gotten around a lot.
Now, this husband she has for the time being is a writer for the paper that announced her inheritance?
Yeah. And right after it, she got over 5,000 proposals for marriage from men that had heard about the money. Ain't it awful how mercenary some people are? Of course, Mother's good-looking, but none of the men ever even seen her. So she didn't take any of them up.
Not even at the suggestion of her present husband?
No, Frank's crazy about her. He gave her the money to go to the old country when she inherited all the macaroni factories.
He financed the trip, eh? Well, do you suppose you could give us any addresses in Chicago where your mother might visit?
Well, I never knew anything about her boyfriends.
The addresses don't have to be in any specific classification. Just any place she might visit. You know, even with platonic friends.
Well, I can give you a couple of addresses, but they ain't platonic friends. They're Americans.
Oh, well, they'll do very nicely. That'll save us the trouble of getting an interpreter.
And very quietly and discreetly, the Chicago police arrested Francis Krager on April 15, 1934. Miss Marjorie Fairchild, an investigator for District Attorney Bureau in Pitts, flew east to bring back the blonde idealist. But upon her arrival in Los Angeles, her influential friends rallied to rescue her from the authorities before she could be questioned.
I certainly hope they won't have her handcuffs. It's going to be like putting the Mona Lisa in the stocks.
Oh, my dear, they wouldn't dare. I'd see the mayor. Such a story. A scenario it would make. A scenario. It gives me a mucus of an idea. I'll write that story if it takes every writer on the lot to do it.
You really should get her to play the leading part. She's just perfect for it.
There she is now, Francis.
Oh, hello,
Francis, dear, here we are.
Oh, my dear faithful friends, I'm overcome with emotion that you have not forgotten me. And I'm covered with shame that you should see me so.
We have the best lawyer in town for you.
We won't let them persecute you.
No, just tell them who you are, darling.
It is the enemies of my country that steal me away. They wish to hold my country down.
What a story. It'll be magnanimous.
These enemies, they do not wish to see my people speak one language. Oh, it is so cruel. The poor little children.
The first scene will be terrific. It'll be a mother teaching the baby to say mama in 3 dialects. The baby gets disgusted and says, nuts.
Oh, my.
But for you, my friends, I will carry on. These enemies of my country are the ones who, frame me. They force me to sign the checks. They know will put me in prison when I do not have the money of my own yet. They wish to put me out of the way and keep my people ignorant. It is very sad.
You will be freed immediately, no matter what the bail is. We will not allow the police to even question you. It will be a crime. Oh, why must crusaders always be crucified?
I've already got the title, The Crusade for Love. When the baby grows up, he tries to make love to the girl in the wrong dialect. She gets the wrong idea and socks him.
Please. But you must not make fun of my people's tragedy. It is serious. It is real.
Well, sure, but can I help it if real life sounds like a third-rate scenario?
Released under $5,000 bail, Francis Krager once again became the idol of the idealists. And then one morning, the unfortunate gentleman who had furnished her bond received a personal message from the Macaroni Queen. With spelling as puzzling as the Queen herself, he was informed...
When you read this, I will be beyond, where there is no more trouble, no more. I have decided to end it all. Look for my body in Santa Monica, in Waterfront, for that's where I'm going tonight.
Again, officers Willie and Pennywit returned to the woman's home.
For the life of me, I can't see why you didn't turn this over to the homicide squad and be done with it. Her body's been floating around in Santa Monica Bay since last night.
You mean you really think our Macaroni Queen has ended in the soup?
Well, sure. I could stand to swim there right now, but it's officially out of our hands.
Penny, I'm surprised at you being so callous. Well, here's our house. Still as elegant as ever. Not even any signs of mourning on it. Now for a talk with the housekeeper.
Oh, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. I see you remember us. I just wanted to know when you saw Mrs. Krager last.
Why, just last night. She left for Santa Monica and didn't say when she would return.
There you are. That proves it. Did you think she was hiding here in the cellar?
Did she seem downcast or sad before she left?
No, as a matter of fact, she seemed quite gay and happy.
You don't say. In good spirits, eh?
Just trying to buoy herself up before she took the final dive.
What do you mean?
Take a look at this letter. She drowned herself.
Drowned herself? Why, the lousy phony.
So she walked out on you.
Oh, but you spoke so kindly of her when we were here before.
That was when I thought I was going to get paid.
But you called her phony. Do you have any reason to believe she was?
Reason? Of course I have reason, and I hope you guys get her quick.
Get her? You mean you think she's alive? She didn't drown?
Of course she didn't. She's not honest enough to give a fish a square meal.
We're interested in your personal opinions of her, Mrs. Gray, but do you have any actual proof that she didn't drown herself?
Proof? Of course I have. Do you think I'd be talking this way if I didn't have?
Well, so far, we don't know what to think, but we would like to know what this proof is.
Yeah, we want to know.
Well, that's what I've been trying to tell you, but you've been talking your head
Now,
off.
let's be calm, Mrs. Gray. We'll keep her perfectly still, and you speak your little piece.
Well, it's very simple. Before she went to throw her lily white body in the brink, she packed all her clothes and took them with her.
For 2 years, Frances Krager led the authorities on a transcontinental woman hunt. Whether she was held by the enemies of her native country or whether she thought herself above being on speaking terms with the police was a matter of conjecture. On June 19, 1936, the famous writer once again called upon Detectives Willie and Pennywit in their office.
Of course, I still think she's innocent. All her friends do, but that's not the point. The point is we want her found.
So do we. So that's about as pointless as a pretzel.
We've made every possible effort to find her. We know she's alive. She's been seen in Chicago. And while Yugoslavia informs us that there are no macaroni factories there she can claim, still they're most friendly toward her.
Yeah, they call her their dollar princess. And they don't know what it's all about either.
She is a wonderful character. The fact that she can't find herself, you can't find her, is proof that she is held by some sinister and evil force.
We don't need that as an excuse for not finding her. Our greatest difficulty comes from people like you, sir, who wouldn't and won't let us make a complete investigation of the case.
Well, that's what I came to see you about. You promised not to publicize her case, and we have decided to release you from that promise. We feel that if you publish her picture in detective magazines, she is such an unusual person, someone may have seen her, and we'll offer a reward for information about her.
That's a good idea. Now you're acting sensible.
Oh, but mind you, we intend to keep her in safe hands once we find her. You will not be allowed to pursue this ridiculous idea that she is a fraud.
In October 1936, while the valiant amateur sleuths over the entire country poured leads into the Bunko Squad offices, A good-looking blonde was being questioned in New York Harbor by R.B. Shipley, chief of the passport division.
According to this passport, your name is Harriet Ashley.
But of course.
How long have you been in Europe?
I go in July.
Did you go directly to Yugoslavia?
But of course. How did you know?
Oh, I see so many different nationalities. It's a hobby of mine to guess where they went when they return home.
That's not my home. I visit a friend there.
Well, no matter how long anyone has been in America, I can always tell where they used to live.
Now that you've played your game, may I go?
No. I have something here that might interest you, if I can just find it.
Oh, I'm in a great hurry. Now, please.
Now, just a minute. I have a picture here somewhere of a woman that looks just like you. I can't remember her name.
Doesn't matter. My name is Ashley.
Yes, of course. But a coincidence like this is too unusual to let pass without investigation. I mean, I must call it to your attention. She might be your sister.
I do not have any sister, and I'm not interested in this coincidence. I insist that...
Here it is. Now, look at that. You've got to admit it certainly looks like you.
Yes. That is a coincidence. You have a remarkable memory. Goodbye.
Now, just a minute. This woman's name is Krager, Frances Krager. Do you mean to say that's not your name or a name that you have used?
I told you my name is Ashley. That's all I have to say.
Well, I guess that finishes our conversation. But you'll have to wait until I get these fingerprints compared.
I will not trouble you. I am Frances Krager.
Yes. Well, you're wanted by the California authorities, Mrs. Krager. But you won't have to worry about that. At least you won't have to worry about it for 6 months, because we're going to keep you in the Federal House of Detention for that period.
But why?
Oh, just for falsifying a statement for passport. After that, the California sunshine will feel pretty good. Even the very little bit you're going to get.
After a brief sortie in the courts, fighting against being returned to Los Angeles, Frances Krager was brought back. And once again, it was with no suggestion of the black sheep returning home that she was greeted by her long-lost friends. But her daughter had another feeling.
Sally, my little baby daughter, oh, come to my arms.
Oh, now, don't give me that stuff, Mom. I came here to talk turkey.
Oh, you always did try to break my heart. To treat me so, like this, after not seeing me for years.
You never used to have that accent when I knew you. Was it that writer guy you married that got you that way?
Sally, I'm living in another world than the one I knew when you were little.
Yeah? Well, at least that world didn't have bars around it.
Oh, you don't understand. It is...
Sure, it's all a mistake. Your son William made a little mistake, too. It was about who owned an automobile, and he's serving 3 years in the Michigan Reformatory. You didn't know that, did you?
Oh, to think that a son of mine should do such a thing.
Well, I don't know where he got his ideas, but they worked out just about the same way yours seemed to. Oh, now don't start blubbering. I stuck up for you when the cops came out to my house, but that's just it. I don't want them coming out there anymore, and I don't want you to open your mouth about even knowing me.
All right, if you don't want me to.
Well, I don't. You may have all the money in the world for all I know, but you can take it and stick to your part of the country, and I'll stick to mine.
Oh, it's so cruel. It's too cruel.
Yes, well, you should have thought of that a few years ago.
But I was poor then.
Well, I am now. But I'll take care of my kids. I don't wish you any hard luck. I hope you beat the case. But just go the other way if you do, that's all.
But again, Frances Krager's friends rallied to her support.
Well, Frances, how do you like the lawyer we got for you?
Yes, oh, he's wonderful. It is wonderful, all the things you do. Because of him, I sit here in this chamber till the trial starts. And I visit with you, my friend. It gives me such courage.
Just as a week would give you courage.
Oh, you give and give. But the greatest thing you give me is the courage to... Oh, what do you say? To take it.
In the courtroom, it's not even a sellout.
No, well, no one knows about the fortune, or it would be packed.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, everything's going to be all right.
Yes, it's got to be. My luck just can't fail me now.
Your luck?
Yes. Oh, of course, I mean my luck in having you for friend.
And this woman has been persecuted, not only by the enemies of civilization, but by the law itself. The law refused to look into her soul and therefore misjudged her.
Womankind at its best is personified in the aims and desires of this noble creature. She is a shining example to all those who seek to forget themselves in the thought of others. What could the law say against that?
It is my purpose to prove that this woman has not and never has had any property in Yugoslavia or anywhere else. The people will prove that this woman came to America and to the city of Los Angeles for the sole purpose of bilking certain persons and institutions of funds which did not rightfully belong to her. She has taken advantage of her friends in the motion picture industry and in financial circles. She has not and never has had any idea of giving them any value in return for their money.
Stop it! Stop the trial. Your Honor, I wish to plead guilty to the charge.
In just a moment, we will furnish concluding facts regarding our program. In the brief interval, just a reminding word. For the complete protection of your motor and its longer life, Real Lube, the newest and finest motor oil sold in the West. For the maximum in power, speed, and mileage, Rio Grande Cracked, the gasoline of real police car performance. Deputies Willie and Pennywit had built up an airtight case against the Yugoslavian dollar princess. She was sentenced to 15 months in the county jail, to be followed by a 10-year probationary period, and was ordered to repay her friends their losses. Definitely, this was another crime that did not pay.
Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office calling all cars, attention all cars, a cancellation broadcast 255 regarding a missing person. The suspect in this case is now in custody. That's all. Rosenquist.
Narrator Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for Rio Grande.
Next week at this time, Rio Grande will present The Case of the Abandoned Bricks. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
All Cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars. Attention all cars to broadcast 256 regarding a murder. No description of suspect. Used brick as a weapon. That is all. Armand.
you attend a football game tomorrow, friends, you'll see the referee and the captains of the opposing teams go into a huddle. The fellow in the black and white striped blouse and white monkey pants tosses a coin into the air and, pointing to one of the captains, says,
"Call it. Heads. Heads it is."
And thus is decided which team will kick off, the other getting a choice of goal it will defend. A harmless enough form of gambling. But flipping a coin is no way to decide which gasoline is the best to pep up the running attack of your motor. If you listen to those who hit the line hardest and thus know the most about the game, the drivers of police cars, fire engines, and ambulances, you know that Rio Grande Cracked is the all-around gasoline that delivers the goods for more public-serving emergency equipment, wherever it is sold, than any other brand. Tens of thousands of motorists, too, like the way Rio Grande Cracked charges the instant the ball is snapped, gets out in the open with the speed of the wind. If your machine hasn't been clicking, friends, better sign up the all-time, all-American Rio Grande Cracked to play on your team. It's the most highly endorsed gasoline sold in the West. Now it is again our pleasure to present Chief James E. Davis of the Los Angeles Police Department. Chief Davis.
The man whose story we are to hear tonight was not a man in the legal sense. He was only a boy. Yet such was his reputation that the sheriff of the parish in which he was born wired me that only death would stop his career of crime. The work of the police in this case would have been aided materially if reports had been made to the authorities of all cases in which this man was involved. But many persons, thinking him to be a harmless prowler, allowed the suspect to go unmolested until his actions became so violent that they could no longer be ignored. By that time, he had committed 3 murders and had escaped. I wish to impress upon you the importance of reporting to the police any case of a suspicious nature. Let the police officer decide whether it's important or not. That's his job. The conclusion of the story I shall reserve for the end of the program.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars. Attention all cars. This may be in your district. At the Montesano Hospital, a woman has just been beaten with a brick. That is all, Morgan.
I was lying in bed here, almost asleep, when this man came in. I heard a noise. I thought it was the nurse. I just rung for
Where
her.
was the man when you saw him?
Well, he was standing right there, just about where you are now. He had something in his hand.
Was he just standing there?
No, he was leaning over the bed a little. He had his hand raised up by his face. I could see something in his hand, but I didn't know what it was. I screamed, and then he hit me.
Did you lose consciousness?
Yes. He didn't hit me a hard blow. I threw up my arm and sort of knocked his hand out of the way. But I must have fainted. When I came to again, he was choking me. I got loose and screamed again, and that woke the other women, those over there. And they started screaming, too.
What did the man do then?
Well, he ran out of the window there, right across the terrace, and jumped over the railing.
Is this the brick he had in his hand?
I think so. He dropped something just as he got to the door.
Well, now, you take it easy. We'll make
you.
a report of this and see what we can find out.
Los Angeles Police calling car 12. Car 12 at 103 West 4th Street. Investigate the trouble. Call an ambulance if needed. Morgan.
Right this way, officers. This room right in here.
Is this the woman that got beat up?
Yes. She looks like she's pretty badly hurt.
See. Run in here, boys. I'll make a report on this as soon as I get some dope on what happened. When did you discover the woman?
About half an hour ago.
She's been hurt longer than that.
Well, I know that. That's why we came in when we did. You see, nobody had seen her around for a couple of days, so, we decided to investigate.
Who is she?
Mrs. Elizabeth Barclay. She's from Akron.
I see. How long has she been here?
About 3 weeks.
Did she have any money?
Well, apparently so. Her clothes were good. She paid her bills promptly. Always seemed to have enough to get what she wanted.
You, ever see this purse before?
Oh, yes, lots of times. It belonged to Mrs. Barclay.
You say you haven't seen her for a couple of days.
Yes. You see, she didn't come down yesterday nor today. And when she didn't answer her room phone here, well, we decided we'd better find out what was wrong. I got the janitor, and we took a look through the transom and saw her sitting here in the chair, all covered with blood. So, naturally, we investigated.
See. You haven't touched anything in the room?
Not a thing. When we found Mrs. Barclay hurt, we called the ambulance and then phoned the police station.
Was this brick on the windowsill when you came in?
Everything is just exactly the way it was. Nothing has been touched.
Well, we'll take it along. No chance of getting any fingerprints off it, and it's a cinch we'll never get any prints off that windowsill. We'll keep in touch with you and let you know if anything comes up. And by the way, nobody saw any strangers loitering around here, did they?
No.
Well, if you see anybody hanging around this joint that looks suspicious, you call us.
I'll do that, yes.
12 days later, a guest in a downtown hotel reported,
When my wife and I woke up this morning, our window was open. My wife's purse was lying on the fire escape. There was a brick lying right beside it in a hat. It had a label in it from a hat store in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
2 days later, as the chill February dawn broke,
Miss Jones! Miss Jones! There's a fellow trying to get in my window. He's got a brick in his hand. Help!
14 days later, on March 12th.
Mrs. Valdez, are you up yet? That's funny. Mrs. Valdez, is the morning paper? Something must be wrong. Mrs. Valdez, are you all right? Guess I'll try the door. Oh, du lieber, she's dead.
Again, the telltale brick was found at the scene of the crime. 18 days went by. Then on the morning of March 20th, at 523 South Maple, a man awoke.
Oh, what the devil's coming off in here? Hey! Get away from that window! Oh, throw a brick at me, will you? Well, I'll fill you so full of holes you will look like a used punch board.
But the early morning hours had affected the aim of the awakened sleeper, and once more the brick-wielding criminal had escaped. Then on the morning of March 27, at 1026 Ingram Street, a telephone rings insistently.
Hello?
Say, Grace, what's the matter with you? Why did you answer your phone?
I can't. I'm hurt. Something's hit me in the head. I'm all bloody. Call the police.
How do you do? I'm Lieutenant Patton. And you call police headquarters?
Yes. Come in, please.
Well, you look like you're in a pretty bad shape.
I am. The doctor just left.
How'd you get your head all banged up that way?
I don't know. I was lying in bed and I kept hearing the phone ring, but I couldn't answer it. Finally, I managed to get enough strength to pick up the phone, and it was a friend of mine, and I had to call the police station because I found out that my head was bleeding pretty badly.
Well, how'd you get hurt?
I really haven't the slightest idea, though. I must have been hit with this brick. It was lying on my bed by the pillow.
Oh, one of those cases, huh? Is there an outside window to this apartment close to the ground?
Why, the bathroom window opens onto an alley, and there's a high fence right under the window.
Mind if I take a look at it?
Why, no, I'll show you.
Anything missing in the place?
Yes, I lost a wristwatch and my purse. Here's the bathroom.
Is that screen the same way it was when you came in here first?
Yes, sir. Nobody's touched anything.
Well, here's a greasy fingerprint on the windowsill.
Where?
Right there. Don't touch it. Let me get a good look at that.
What are you doing? Smelling of it?
Yeah. Unless I miss my guess, the man who made this print is a car washer. Now, look, don't bother anything, don't touch anything, and don't clean anything up until I get a fingerprint man out over here.
The way I feel now, I'll never clean this place up.
Twice more the brickbat killer struck. Then on the morning of April 4th, 1937, Los Angeles shuddered at the grim details of its latest brickbat murder. Lieutenant of Detectives Patton, Tommy Bryan, and his partner Ray Giese discussed the murder.
You fellows got anything more on this Warden case? Yeah, Ray and I were just looking at the reports a while ago. All these brickbat cases have been assigned to Ray and me.
Pretty bad, isn't it?
Yes, it is. What's a whole lot worse is the fact that, as far as I can determine, this is the 13th crime of the same nature that's been committed in this town since the first of the year.
You think all of these brickbat jobs have been done to the same man?
I'm sure of it. Same method of operation in at least 10 of the cases. The first one is at the Montesana Hospital. That was back in January.
And on the 2nd of February, Mrs. Barkley was discovered in a room in that hotel on 4th Street.
Yeah, I remember that case.
On the 14th of February, a fellow named Nash reported that his hotel room had been broken into. And in that case, the brickbat was left. On the 16th of February, we had that case in Santee, where a girl saw a man trying to climb through a window. He had a brickbat in his hand.
This guy's a bricklayer of the first order.
And so far, that is, up till the middle of February, he hadn't killed anybody.
No, but Mrs. Barclay was unconscious for 6 weeks. I don't think she'll ever be quite the same.
The first murder that I think we can chalk up to our brickbat-carrying friend is the Valdez case out on Stanford.
Say, didn't somebody take a shot at a guy for throwing a brick at him down on Maple or Wall or some of those streets?
Yeah, this report shows that we got 3 complaints from the South Maple address. One on the 20th of March, 2 on the 31st. We got another on the 30th of March from the 500 block on South Wall. But in between that was the Ingram Street case.
That's where you found the greasy fingerprint, wasn't it?
Yeah. We had Gaskell make some pictures of that print, but of course the possibilities of finding who it belongs to are very remote. Too indistinct to classify. Besides, we couldn't check all the prints anyway.
You told me you were positive that the man who made that print was a car washer.
Yes, I had Ray Pinker make an analysis of scrapings from the print. He agrees with me. Besides, we also know that the grease is not differential or transmission grease, but the kind that would naturally accumulate on a sponge or a chamois skin.
Well, that definitely makes a car washer out of him and not a mechanic, huh?
That's what we think.
Well, we found a dusty print on a milk bottle over at the Warden place. Apparently, whoever made it had pushed the window up and had set the milk bottle off the windowsill over on the fence to keep from knocking it off. When he did that, he left a dusty print on the milk bottle. It's pretty indistinct, but I think Gaskell is going to be able to do something with it.
Well, these latent prints are all right if we ever get any others to compare with them. But right now, that's a job that's too big.
Well, how about running the cards through the machine and pull out all the cards with the same M.O.?
Strange as it may seem, we haven't a single case in our files other than these 13 in this folder right here.
Well, didn't anyone get a description of this guy?
As near as we can figure out, we've got to look for a car washer about 6 feet tall, weighing about 150 pounds, but that's all we got to go on.
Well, it's a cinch we can't round up every 6-foot colored boy we see and ask him if he's the brickbat killer.
No, but we can do the next best thing. We can round up every one of them that looks like he might answer that description. And we can compare every fingerprint we take from now on with those we have in this file.
Let me study that file. I've got an idea.
Acting on a suggestion from Lieutenant Bryan, all city employees whose work might bring them in contact with the kind of grease shown in the chemical analysis of the fingerprint were brought in for questioning. Their fingerprints taken and compared with the prints found at the scene of the crime. Thus, every man was eliminated and all suspicion removed from. Then Bryan conferred with Chief of Detectives Joseph Taylor, who was actively working on the case.
Well, Chief, we had another brickbat case last night down on Gladys Street. According to the report, the fellow tried to break into a girl's room, and she woke up in time to put in a call to the police, but the guy got away.
Think it's the one we were looking for?
I'm pretty sure it is. He left a brickbat on the windowsill. Here's something I'd like to check with you, too. I've tabulated the number of times these attacks have been made, and I've tried to determine if there's any sequences to days, but apparently there isn't.
Yeah? What have you got?
4 on Sunday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Wednesday, 3 on Tuesday, and 2 on Monday.
Well, apparently there's no pattern there.
No, but I've found that it averages 1 attack every 6 days. That is in the periods when he's active. Now, this is the 17th. I figure he'll strike again about Wednesday of next week.
All right. What do you want to do?
I want every available man and every car that you can spare, and let's cover the district from 1st Street at least to 10th and from Figueroa to Central.
That's going to take a lot of men.
I know it, but we've got to catch this guy before he kills somebody else.
All right. And if we haven't got enough men to cover those districts, we'll get them.
Night after night, augmented by 150 extra men, the Los Angeles police combed the district, outlined by Lieutenant Bryan. From housetops, from parked automobiles, even from trees, the officers watched for the murderer. Hundreds of suspects were brought in for questioning. More than 100 unsolved cases were broken as a result of these arrests. But still, the brickbat-wielding slayer escaped detection.
Chief Taylor, why don't we check the fingerprints we've got on these brickbat cases against the juvenile prints?
Look, Tommy, you know it practically takes a court order to get those juvenile prints out of the files.
Well, that's a system I don't like. I think those prints should be available like all the rest of the fingerprints.
Nope, we don't want to run the risk of some guy with a cop complex rousting some youngster around just because his prints happen to be in police records.
Meantime, this guy goes around caving in skulls with brickbats.
Now, don't let this case get you down, Tommy. Anyhow, you have no reason to believe this killer is a juvenile.
No, it's just a hunch, that's all.
How much longer you want these extra men?
Well, I've about decided that this bird skipped town. It's been 4 weeks since anything's happened, and if he was still here, he'd have started something before this.
Well, you keep the file on it and keep working on the case. Let me know what comes up. Oh, Do you have anything in mind on it?
Well, I got a letter here that I'd like you to send out for me. I think it ought to go to every sheriff's office and police department in every town in the United States that has more than 10,000 people. It might be a good idea to send them to Mexico and Canada, too.
Yeah? What's the letter about?
I'm asking them to give us a report on every case of this sort that they've had, and to notify us if they have any other case of the same kind. And the minute we hear from any one of these towns, we'll have a lead.
All right, we'll send them out.
Although the case of the Brickbat Slayer apparently was closed and newspapers no longer heralded the exploits of the killer, Lieutenant Bryan kept the case in his active file. Every person arrested who even remotely resembled the suspect had his fingerprints taken and compared with the latent prints on file. Then, from Chicago came a letter which Bryan discussed with Chief Taylor.
Chief, I just got a letter from the Chicago police that convinces me the man we're looking for came from Chicago.
That's so? What does it say?
It says, replying to your letter regarding Brickbat murderer, we received a report from E. Richards of the Hotel Devonshire on the morning of June 29th, 1936.
Mr. Richards, my mommy's bloody all over. Gee, you better go up and see. I want my grandma. I don't want to stay here anymore.
Oh, now, Jimmy, your mother's all right. A little boy like you shouldn't be up so early.
I tell you, my mommy's hurt. A man hit her with a brick. Gee, I don't want to stay here.
Well, all right. Come on, Jimmy. Let's take a ride up in the elevator. We'll see what's the matter.
No, I don't want to. I'm afraid.
You didn't sleep with your clothes on, did you, Jimmy?
No, I put them on this morning.
Oh, well, surely if your mother's been hurt as badly as you say, you wouldn't have stopped to dress.
But I tell you, she's hurt.
Did you lock the door, Jimmy, when you came out?
No, sir. It's unlocked.
Well, let's go in.
No, I don't want to. I'm afraid.
There's nothing to be afraid of. Uh-oh. Jimmy, didn't you hear anything during the night?
Yes, I woke up in the night. It was real dark. I saw a big man standing over the bed, and he was hitting my mommy with something all wrapped up.
Didn't you do anything?
Yes, I said, hey, you let my mommy alone.
Well, did he quit?
No, he said for me to keep quiet. He said he was a doctor, and he was fixing my mommy's ear.
Oh.
And after a while, he went over to the dresser there, and then he left. And I went back to sleep, and that's all I saw till I woke up this morning.
And the letter goes on to say that there were a lot of fingerprints around the place, and that on the mirror, the killer had written with lipstick the words Black Legion Game.
Weren't they having a lot of trouble there with the Black Legion about that time?
Yes, and I have an idea that the mirror writing was just a red herring trick.
Did they check the boy's story?
Yeah, and apparently he stuck to it because they made a couple of arrests, but they never pinned the murder on anybody.
But, Tom, this happened before our own cases.
Yes, I know it did. The way I figured is this. The fellow who did that job is the same one we had out here.
Well, that gets us nowhere.
That's right. Except that the only thing to do now is to watch for another case like this in Chicago and then get on the job quick. Because I got a hunch that if he came from Chicago, he's going back there. And it's a cinch he won't be able to resist that brickbat mania of his very long.
Tommy, will you put that paper down and come to bed?
Yeah, just a minute.
What are you doing? Reading the wanted?
No.
You've been reading that paper every night. What do you find so interesting?
I got a letter last week from Les White. He sent me a clipping about a brickbat murder in Chicago. So I'm just looking for brickbat murders.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Are you going to spend the rest of your life working on that case?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I have to.
Well, at least get home in time to read the paper before midnight.
Oh, boy.
What now,
Listen
Sherlock?
to this. Chicago, Illinois. Police today arrested Thomas Crosby, Negro car washer, 17, as a suspect in the death of Anna Cook, Chicago nurse, who was murdered on the morning of August 21st.
So what? Why all the excitement?
You mean to say you didn't read that story?
Now, look, Tommy, I married a detective. I've been a good wife to you, haven't I?
Yeah, but gee, you ought to read about
I
these
didn't agree to
things.
read murder stories. I get enough of that from listening to you.
Where's my hat?
Right where you always leave it when you come in, on the table in the hall. Hey, where do you think you're going this time of night?
I'm going to headquarters,
And
lady.
what do you think you're going to do there?
I'm going to find out if we've got the fingerprints of Thomas Crosby.
And what if you have?
If we have and they match up with a certain print I've got in mind, I'll be flying to Chicago tomorrow morning.
Oh, why did I ever marry a detective in the homicide squad?
Tough luck, honey. Goodbye now. I'll be seeing you.
Hey, Gaskell, come here a minute.
Tommy, if you say brickbat to me, I'm going to brain you.
Never mind the horseplay. Come on. I want some prints. You got the fingerprints of Thomas Crosby?
Listen, Tommy, we've got 425,000 fingerprints in this joint. You asked me for Thomas Crosby. Now pull yourself together, Brian. What's it all about?
Will you please pull the card on Thomas Crosby?
Yes, Mr. Brian. How do you spell it?
Crosby. Crosby. Crosby.
Crosby. What's the first name?
Oh, for the love of... Thomas. Thomas Crosby.
Yes, Mr. Brian. Yeah. There you are. Thomas Crosby. He's a juvenile, 17 years old, picked up in 1937 for vagrancy. 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighs 150 pounds.
Was he picked up in the night or the daytime?
What difference does it make?
Well, if he was picked up at night, his prints weren't compared with those we've got in our files. This cockeyed idea for protecting some of these juveniles is beginning to get in my hair.
Well, my friend, I'm afraid that the prints are in the juvenile file, and you can't see them till morning.
All right. Do me a favor, Gaskell. Remember those prints we got from Chicago on that Castle case?
You mean the woman that was killed in the hotel with the little boy in bed with her?
Yeah, that's the one.
Sure, I remember. They're in the file.
Hello, Tommy.
Oh, hello there,
What are you
Captain.
doing down here this time of night?
Captain Doyle, you're just the man we need.
That's so? How come?
Look, here's a card on a kid named Crosby.
Radio singer?
No. Brickbat Slayer.
That's so? How do you know?
Well, I don't. But he was picked up today in Chicago on suspicion of doing the same kind of job that our brickbat murderer was doing around here.
Let me see the card. This guy's a juvenile.
Yeah, that's where you come in.
You know the rules, Tommy.
Sure I do, Captain, but look, I'll bet my right eye that this man's the guy we're looking for. Give me a break and unlock the file, and let's compare these prints, will you?
There's going to be a whole lot of trouble if you're wrong on this, Brian.
There's going to be a whole lot more trouble if I'm right and we don't do it.
Well, there's a point to that, too. Come on, let's go.
Well, I hope this works out.
You've been putting a lot of time in on this case, haven't you?
Ever since April of last year.
16 months, eh?
Yeah, 16 months. What time I wasn't working on other cases.
Did you say Thomas Crosby?
Yes, sir, Thomas Crosby. Juvenile, 17 years old, colored.
Okay. There you are.
Okay, we'll get to work on it. Come on, Tommy. Hey, Woodruff, you found those prints yet on the Castle case?
Yeah, there you are.
Hand me that glass, will you, Tommy?
Here. Well, how about it?
Sherlock, I'm afraid you've got something.
Yeah?
The same fingers that made the prints on this card are the ones that made the prints on Mrs. Castle's mirror.
Hot dog. Let's get a wire off to Chicago.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to help them pin the Castle murder on that Crosby bird, and while they're doing that, I'm going to try to tie him up with the brickbat killings here.
And just how are you going to do that?
Gaskell, will you do me a favor and compare those latent prints we got off that milk bottle in that Olive Street murder with these Crosby prints?
Oh, that's it, eh? Why didn't you say so? I've got those prints in the drawer.
Oh, I got a hunch on this, and if it works, we've got our brickbat killings solved.
Well, I'm afraid they're solved, because in my opinion, these latent prints were made by Thomas Crosby.
Lieutenant Bryan phoned Chicago the discovery made by the Los Angeles police. Next day, Lieutenants Gaskell and Bryan left to question the suspect. In Chicago, they were met by Captain Crane.
Hello, boys. Sorry to keep you waiting. Yeah, we'd begun to think you'd forgotten our appointment.
Well, you know how things are. Everything's upset. This is a pretty important case to us.
Well, it isn't exactly a parking ticket to us. Oh, pardon me. This is Lieutenant Gaskell, our fingerprint man.
Glad to know you.
He's the man who made Crosby's prints on the Castle case.
Yeah. Nice work, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief, let's get down to cases. Just what's the runaround all about? We've been here 2 days and we haven't been able to talk to Crosby yet. What's the answer?
Well, frankly, we've been trying to clear up some more of our unsolved cases with Mr. Crosby. However, he's right here in the next room. If you boys are ready, I think we can talk to him.
Well, I'm ready anytime you are.
Okay. Do you want to take a statement?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Not at all. You can use the same stenographer who's working with him now. Crosby, here's some boys from Los Angeles that want to talk to you.
Listen, Copper. I told you my name was Nixon. But don't be going around here calling me Crosby.
Another crack like that out of you, and I'll bend a blackjack over your head.
Nuts to you. What do you guys want?
Nice kid, huh?
Yeah. Now, let's get something straight right now. You guys play square with me, and I'll play square with you. I'm tough, and I know it. I don't want no smart cracks about it.
All right, Crosby, if that's the way you feel about it.
My name is Nixon.
Oh, okay, Nixon. I'm Lieutenant Bryan from Los Angeles. This is Lieutenant Gaskell. We've made a comparison of the fingerprints that we found at the scene of a murder in Los Angeles with the ones on your record card. And they're the same ones.
So what?
Well, we want to know if you're willing to admit these brickbat attacks we've had on the coast.
Do I go back there?
Back to Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure, I'd admit him. What do you want to know about him?
Did you beat up that woman on Ingram Street?
Is that the one close to Wilshire?
Yeah.
Sure, I hit her. She was going to wake up and yell for the cops, so I let her have it with a brick.
How about that murder out on Stanford?
No, I don't know nothing about that.
Did you kill the woman and her daughter up on Olive Street?
Is that the street up on top of the hill?
That's the one.
Yeah, I killed him. They was going to holler, too, so I just caved them in with a brick.
Did you pick up that milk bottle?
Yeah, they tell me that's where I made my mistake.
Yeah. You did all right. Anything else you want to tell us?
No, but there's sure something these Chicago cops would like to know.
Huh? What's that?
Well, you hear about that murder in that Wabash Avenue hotel?
Yeah.
Well, I done that one.
Is that so?
Yeah. Remember that gal in the hotel over on Washington Street? The one that her room was on fire?
Yeah, we heard about it. It was a bad job.
Yeah, man. I done that.
Well, you certainly get around, don't you?
I sure do. Say, when are we going to start back for Los Angeles?
Oh, you're not going to start back.
Huh? How come?
No, we're going to leave you in Illinois. Out in California, you're a juvenile. You'd just go to prison for a little while.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. But in Illinois, your age won't make any difference. They'll electrocute you.
Oh.
So long, tough guy.
In just a moment, Chief Davis will give us concluding facts regarding our program. But while he's coming to the microphone, may I suggest the best safeguard you can give your motor is Reolube, the newest and finest motor oil sold in the West. A worthy running mate for Rio Grande Craft, the great police car performance gasoline that is first in public service. The most highly recommended gasoline sold in this section of the country. And now, Chief Davis.
Crosby, alias Nixon, was tried in Cook County, Illinois, on July 28th and found guilty of murder and sentenced to die in the electric chair. In a statement today to Los Angeles detectives in Chicago, he confessed to the murder of Mrs. Valdez. He will be executed 1 week from tonight. Companions which he had implicated in later statements to our officers have been apprehended and will be brought to justice. Again, crime has failed to pay.
Thank you, Chief Davis.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars to cancellation of broadcast 256 regarding a murder. Suspect in this case is now in custody. That is all. Harmon.
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for Rio Grande. Next week at this time, Rio Grande will present The Case of the Swollen Face. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. Calling all cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Seattle Police calling all cars, attention all cars to broadcast 257 regarding a bombing. Be on the lookout for 2 men carrying 2,000 sticks of dynamite. That is all. Harmon.
An autobiography is an account of the life of a man written by himself. A biography is the life story of a man written by someone else, and usually contains the honest, unprejudiced views of one who knows his subject from A to Z and tells the truth without fear or favor. The story of Rio Grande Crack, friends, is being written by outside authorities. The men at the wheels of your police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency equipment tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about Rio Grande Cracked when, by their continued reliance upon this better motor fuel, they say,
Rio Grande Cracked is the gasoline of real police car performance.
They drive the most and are qualified to know that
Rio Grande Cracked starts quicker, accelerates more smoothly, and packs more speed, power, and mileage in every gallon.
That, friends, is the story of this superior gasoline, the true story told by city, county, state of California, and federal government officials, verified by tens of thousands of motorists who have checked the facts for themselves. If you haven't done so, prove it to yourself. Get a supply of police car performance Rio Grande Crack at your nearest red and white Rio Grande station in the morning, and you'll understand why Rio Grande Crack is the most highly recommended public serving gasoline sold in the West. The facts in tonight's story are to be found in the confidential files of the Police Department of Seattle, Washington. We have therefore asked Chief of Police William Sears to prepare a foreword for our program.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There is something about a time bomb that always puts fear into the bravest of men. Yet in modern police work, cases such as we are about to hear occur much too frequently for comfort. In every case, some officer is the unsung hero of the hour. Such was the case with Captain Marshall Scrafford and his able assistants, Red O'Brien and Frank Himes. We probably will never know definitely how the crazed mind of the criminal in tonight's story arrived at the decision to attempt his crime. But we do know that the work of Captain Scrafford and his men saved many lives, and probably kept this nation away from the verge of war. How they did this, we shall see as the program unfolds.
Our story opens in a little town just beyond the Canadian border. Seated in a porch swing of a modest home, a man and a woman are talking.
But why won't you marry me now?
I told you my reason, Rolf.
But that's no reason. I don't always intend being in my present circumstances.
I hope not.
Well, then let's get married as we planned months ago.
Oh, please, Rolf. Can't I make you understand? I don't want to marry you now. I'd much rather wait until you're more stable financially.
That wouldn't mean you'd marry for money, would it?
Rolf.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I can't understand what money has to do with our love. Can't we fight our way together, side by side?
That's just the point. I don't want to fight. I want a home that's mine, not an apartment today and a rooming house tomorrow.
Everything tailor-made, is that it?
Well, putting it very bluntly, yes. Rolf, if you love me as much as you say you do, you'll go out and get the things I want.
All right, if that's the way you want it. I'll show you. I'll make money. I'll get it some way.
He should be here any minute.
Perhaps the honorable gentleman has changed his mind.
I think not. He desirous of making much money. However, if he... our visitor has arrived.
January 20th already. Another sheet torn from the calendar. Christmas again before I know it. Homicide Bureau, Captain Scrafford.
A ship is going to be blown up tonight.
Hello? Hello? This is Scrafford of the Homicide Bureau speaking.
Listen carefully to me.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
A ship's going to be blown to Kingdom Come tonight. This is the first one. There's going to be others. Everyone that's carrying scrap iron for war material. Tell them to get out of this country and stay out. Remember, this is only the first one.
I didn't quite hear what you said. Nuts, he hung up.
And so begins the story of Rolf Forsyth. Meantime, Captain Marshall Scrafford sat with flushed face musing over the strange telephone call. In the office with him is W.J. O'Brien.
Doesn't make sense, I tell you.
Of course it doesn't. There's some crank.
Yeah, maybe, but just the same, I got a hunch it wasn't phony. The guy was trying to disguise his voice. If it wasn't for the bombing of the Panay a few months ago, I wouldn't think so much of it.
Well, that's what makes me think it's just some crank.
Well, the operator couldn't trace the call either.
Oh, forget it. Go and get a glass of beer.
Wonder what you blow a ship up with. Dynamite?
Yeah, I suppose so. Couldn't very well do it with firecrackers.
No. Must put it down in the boiler room or drop it on the deck from a plane.
Or float it alongside on a raft. Come on, let's get a beer.
Float it alongside. That's it. That's the way they'll do it. O'Brien, we're going to stop this bombing.
Say, are you nuts?
Cut the clowning and listen. 99 chances out of 100 it was a crank calling, but it's that one chance we've got to investigate.
Okay, Chief, I'm with you.
We'll have to investigate every ship in the harbor and patrol the beach and docks.
Wonder what ship it'll be, if any.
Give me that paper. I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. Yeah, well, there's a President liner and 2 ships that might be possibilities. We'll have them all looked over. I think it's safe to eliminate the President liner, and one of the other ships is in dry dock, so that really only leaves the High Maru.
The High Maru, huh?
Yeah.
Say, that's the one that's being loaded with scrap iron, too. That must be the one.
Yeah, they're loading with scrap iron down at the Great Northern Dock.
I'll go over there right away. Hines can meet me there.
Wait a minute. I want Dick Mahoney and Ernie Winters to look over the High Maru. You and Himes get down to the President liner. There's a possibility they might be loading scrap iron, too.
Okay, Captain.
Guess I better send McCarthy and Helmer to make the rounds of the hardware stores and find out where the dynamite came from, if any's been bought. Maybe we can get a description of the bombers that way.
What about the airport?
I'll have them watched, too, and I'll get going. I got a lot of phoning to do.
Well, I'll let you know if I find anything.
Phone in here every hour, whether you find anything or not.
Okay.
Operator. Connect me with Captain Tony Norton of the Uniform Division. Crazy fools. There's no telling what the... Hello, Tony? Yeah, this is Scrafford. I want 6 prowl cars down at the docks at 7 o'clock. Yeah. 6 at 7. Some crazy fool's going to try to blow a ship out of the harbor. Huh? I don't know what time. Tonight's all I know, and it's up to us to stop him.
And so began a feverish search for the dynamite and the owner of the voice on the phone. It was impossible to know what time the bombing was to take place. Every second counted. Captain Scrafford sat at his desk, every nerve tense, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for reports, waiting for the sound of an explosion. Waiting. And then in quick succession, reports began coming in.
Scrafford speaking. Oh, hello, Mac. What'd you find? Nothing. You been to all the hardware stores? Have you checked to see if there's been any dynamite stolen? Try the CCC camps? Yeah, that's a good idea. It might have been bought in Tacoma. Try that. Scrafford. Everything quiet on the High Maru, huh? Well, stay there and don't let anything get past you. Yeah, I suppose the captain has received a lot of threats, but this one may be the real McCoy.
Time, that precious element, relentlessly slipped by. Every tick of the clock bringing death closer and closer. Every second lost, bringing destruction nearer. At 5 o'clock, there was still no news. And then a few minutes later...
Homicide Bureau, Scrafford. What? You found it? Good work, Mac. Give me all the dope. Yeah? Let me get this straight. 2 men walked into a hardware store in Tacoma.
I'd like to buy some dynamite.
Sure. How much do you want?
Oh, about 2,000 sticks.
What are you going to use it for, mister?
Me and my buddy here intend to make a little money blasting stumps at Lacey.
Yeah. Oh, blasting stumps at Lacey. 2,000 be enough?
Enough to start. We'll be back if we need any more.
Who's going to sign for it, you or him?
I ain't got nothing to do with it. You sign.
Of course. Where do I sign?
Right here. Hugh McLean. How are you going to carry this stuff, Mr. McLean?
We got a room just down the street. We can carry it that far. There'll be a truck pick it up tomorrow.
You'll have to make several trips. I'd help you if I could leave the store.
Oh, that's all right. Come on, son. Grab onto some of this.
There's no danger of it blowing up, is there?
Not right this minute. Come on. We've got a lot of ground to cover if every second counts.
Mac, did you trace them to the hotel? Good. What'd you find out there? Did you get a description of them?
We're looking for a man named McLean. Hugh McLean. Got another fellow with him, a kid.
We had a fellow registered here by that name, but he checked out already.
Mind if we go up to his room?
No, I guess not.
Now, when he checked out, did he move several boxes?
No. Seems to me all he had was a big trunk.
Trunk, eh? Do you know where the trunk was going?
Why, he checked it to Seattle by bus.
I see. Well, we'll take a look at the room now.
Sure, I'll go up with you as soon as I get the bellhop to watch the desk.
You didn't find anything in the room, huh? Nothing but the empty packing boxes the dynamite had come in. Yeah. Well, did you get a description of them? Good. Let's have it. Give me McLean first. About 30 years old. Yeah, got a little black mustache. Combs his hair straight back. Has a high forehead. Okay, now how about the kid? Mm-hmm. Looks kind of dumb and don't say much. Yeah, go on. Got long, dark hair that's supposed to be combed but sort of hangs down. Yeah, what else? Big mouth, round face, low forehead. That all you got on him? Okay, Mac, nice work. Get back here as fast as you can. I'll start checking from this end.
It was now almost 6 o'clock, and every second counted. Captain Scrafford phoned officers McCarthy and Heimler aboard the Haya Maru and informed them of the latest developments. Then began a search for the trunk. Finally, in a cheap rooming house.
Did you receive a trunk here from Tacoma under the name of McLean?
Yeah.
Where is it now?
Lord, I don't know. A man came and got it.
Yeah, how'd he take it away?
Well, I don't just remember.
Well, think hard, man. This is a matter of life and death.
Well, now, don't rush me. I'm trying to think.
Was it a transfer company or maybe a private truck? Every second counts.
Well, let's see. Him and a young kid come and carried it out that door over there. There's always a lot of taxi cabs waiting out there at the side. They must have took it away in a cab.
In a cab, huh? Thanks, mister. Did you take a trunk away from the depot about an hour ago?
Nope, not me.
You remember taking a trunk from the station?
When?
Tonight, just a little while ago.
Not tonight, mister.
I don't remember hauling any trunks for about a week.
You sure?
Sure, I'm sure.
Hey, buddy, you haul any trunks recently?
Not me, sir.
I'm trying to find a cab driver that hauled a trunk.
Was me.
Did you haul a trunk tonight,
Not
mister?
tonight, no.
Did you haul a trunk?
No trunk.
Hey, you, did you haul a trunk?
Time. The seconds leaped into minutes. The minutes stretched into hours. At 8 o'clock, Officer McCarthy located the cab driver and was taken to the hotel where the trunk had been left. Finding the room locked, the two officers break down the door.
Once more. Together. Now.
Well, there's the trunk.
Yeah, careful, careful. Don't handle it rough.
Don't worry, Mac. Hey, it's not even locked.
Well, open it. Empty. Well, we're too late.
Hey, look over there on the table, Mac.
Yeah, this is the place, all right.
Ah, they must have made the bomb here. Here's a brace and several bits, a pair of calipers, and a pocket compass. Wonder what that's for.
Search me. Here's some insulated wire, an electric buzzer. Oh, that must have been to test it with.
Yeah. Here's the battery. And here's the rest of the alarm clock, the parts they didn't need, huh?
Yeah, here's a good pair of pliers, too. Well, there isn't much else we can get out of this place. We'll call Scrafford and then get down to the docks. That's where the fun's going to be.
While the mad search for the dynamite had been going on, two men stood on the beach. The icy waters of Puget Sound creeping in near their feet. The muffled sound of boats in the harbor is a symphony of deep-throated whistles and multi-toned bells. The taller of the two men is slowly undressing.
Well, it won't be long now.
I don't like this business.
Well, what have you got to worry about? You're not taking any chances.
Maybe not, but if we get caught...
cut it. Take these clothes and put them over there under the dock.
I think you're nuts to swim in that water in the middle of January.
Well, how would you do it?
Well, take a boat and paddle out to the Haya Maru.
Yeah? Take a chance of being seen? You're stupider than I thought you were. No, I'll have to swim it.
You're liable to get cramps.
I don't think so. I've been swimming every day, hardening myself to it. Hey, you got the suitcase fastened to the railroad tie?
Everything's all set.
Okay, here I go.
I'm scared, Rolf.
Well, then get out of here. Go back to the room and wait for me.
Well, let's drop the whole thing. Them guys might not pay you.
Oh, yes, they will. $1,000 for each one that's blown up.
Yeah, I know. $1,000 is a lot of money.
It'll help. Tell you what you do, George.
Huh?
There's some boxcars over on that side, and why don't you go over there and sleep for a while?
Okay, Rolf. Gosh, I hope everything goes all right.
Don't worry. Everything will. Won't that dumb cop I phoned get the surprise of his life about 1:30?
Cop? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. I phoned the captain of the homicide division and told him a ship was going to be blown sky high tonight.
Oh, holy gee, Forsyth, what did you do that for? I don't like coppers.
Oh, forget it. Tomorrow morning, the papers will carry a full page with pictures. We'll be famous.
But I don't want to be famous. And besides, they won't know who done it.
Just the same. At least I'll have the personal satisfaction of having done my part. All right, now, get going and keep out of sight.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. Pretty slick. Phone the police and then bomb the ship out of the harbor right under their noses. Oh, boy, this water's cold. But here goes. I can't sink while I'm hanging onto this railroad tie. But I'm going to make a lot of money.
I don't want to marry you now. I'd much rather wait until you're more stable financially.
I still can't see what money has to do with our love.
I don't want to fight. I want a home that's mine, not an apartment today and a rooming house tomorrow.
I don't intend always being in my present circumstances.
Ralph, if you love me as much as you say you do, you'll go out and get the things I want.
All right, if that's the way you want it, I'll show you. I'll make money. I'll get it some way.
$1,000.
And all I have to do is to blow up the ships you tell me to?
$1,000 a ship.
I'll show you. I'll make money.
I can't marry you unless you make some money.
$1,000 for every ship you blow up.
You'll drown. The water's too cold.
I'll make money somehow. Some way. I'll show her.
Make money and I'll marry you.
$1,000.
You'll die in the attempt.
Make money.
You'll die.
I've got to make it.
I'll marry you.
I've got to.
All the money
You'll never make
Make
it.
money.
1,000 a
The water's
ship.
too
Money.
cold.
1,000.
You'll die. You're liable to get grand.
Seconds fleeting, detectives searching, and still no sign of the bomb. Coast Guard cutters parted the waters of the Sound. Searchlights played a weird fantasy on the dark waters. And then the silence of Scrafford's office was broken by the jangle of the phone bell.
Scrafford speaking. Caller car 11. What'd you find? A kid, huh? Good, I'll be right down. Now we're getting someplace. Where is he?
Here he is.
I ain't done nothing. Let me go.
Okay, son. But first I want to know what you meant telling these officers your pal had gone swimming.
Well, I didn't mean nothing. He went swimming, that's all I know.
Where'd you pick him up, McCarthy?
Well, the boys found him in a freight car and brought him over here. You gave orders to pick up everybody around the docks.
Have you searched him?
Yeah, there's nothing on him. We asked him what he was doing down here, and he said he's waiting for a friend. We asked him where his friend was, and he said he's swimming. It sounded phony to us, so we called you.
Good work. What's your name?
Part. George Part.
What's your pal's name?
I don't know.
You don't know. Don't lie to me.
Well, it's Forsyth. Ralph Forsyth. I met him in a beer joint.
What about this swimming in the Sound in January?
Well, he got drunk and insisted on going swimming. I tried to talk him out of it, but I couldn't.
Did he wear all his clothes when he went in?
Yeah. I mean, no. No, they're over there under the dock.
McCarthy, go see if you can find him.
Okay.
You know anything about a bombing tonight?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
No. I ain't heard nothing about it.
You're lying.
No, I ain't. Honest, I ain't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Why did you and your pal buy 2,000 sticks of dynamite in Tacoma? Well, answer me.
I don't know nothing. Let me go. Let me go.
Don't get back there.
No, let me go. I don't know nothing. Honest, I don't.
Here's a man's clothes, all right. They were under the dock, like he said.
These belong to your pal?
Yeah. Yeah, that's them.
How long ago did he go swimming?
Well, I don't know. I've been asleep in the freight car.
Well, he's out there someplace, and he's got the bomb with him. Tell the cutters to look closer.
Okay, Chief.
What time is that bomb set to go off, Part?
I don't know nothing.
Okay, you don't know nothing. But listen to me a minute. There's a man swimming out there someplace with dynamite, and he intends blowing up a ship. Do you realize what'll happen if he succeeds?
No.
I'll tell you. Thousands of innocent people will be killed, all because a crazy fool didn't think what he was doing. Now listen, kid. If you know anything about this, tell us. We're not going to hurt you. Come on.
1:33. It's going off at 1:33.
Good Lord, it's 11:30 now.
1:33. He tested it with a buzzer, and it always went off at 1:33.
How was he going to blow it up?
Well, it's all in a suitcase and tied to a railroad tie. He swam out to tie it onto the propeller of the ship. 369 sticks. The rest is in Tacoma, hidden.
All right, boys, take him to headquarters.
All right, come
Where's
along,
O'Brien?
kid.
Right here, Chief.
Get Himes, and the two of you get on out on one of those cutters. We got to find Forsyth, or whatever his name is.
We'll find him.
Search every inch of this beach for more dynamite. There's only 369 sticks in this bomb. The rest is probably around here somewhere. Maybe it's in Tacoma, like the kid said, but we can't take any chances.
What about the Hayamaru?
I'll take care of that. Get going.
Okay.
McCarthy, get some divers here as quick as you can. We've got to search the keel of that ship. We haven't a second to lose.
I'll have him here in a jiffy.
Let's see. What else? Cutters searching the water. Yeah. Well, there's nothing to do but wait and pray.
The frantic search was on. Somewhere in the murky waters of Puget Sound was a man swimming with 369 sticks of powerful dynamite. It was now almost 12 o'clock. Scrappard was beside himself. The attempted bombing must be stopped. The seconds pushed relentlessly on. 12:30. One more hour. And then a signal from the Coast Guard cutter G6. Scrappard rushed out onto the dock to greet it and hear the news.
Good work, men.
Captain Scrappard, take a look what we found.
Oh.
Floating face down about 100 yards from shore.
Forsyth.
Must have had cramps or a bad heart. Been dead about 2 hours.
That's him, all right. Dark, with a black mustache, high forehead, intelligent face.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy. But the dynamite.
No trace of it.
Holy smoke, no telling where it's floating. We got to find it. It goes off at 1:33.
You're telling me.
That's less than an hour. Comb every inch of the water. Keep those searchlights plenty busy.
$12:45. 1 o'clock, and still no trace of the missing bomb. 1:10. The search was at a fever pitch. 1:15. Eyes ached, heads throbbed. 1:20, and Captain Scrappard gave orders to clear the sound. The crew of the Hayamaru abandoned ship. No craft was permitted to get within several hundred feet of the troubled area. Scrappard, O'Brien, and Himes stand, watches in hand, waiting for the detonation, coming at 1:33.
3 minutes to go.
Forsyth got what was coming to him, all right.
Wonder what they'll do with the kid.
I don't know, Himes. I don't think he knows so much about it. Forsyth was the brains. Apparently he made the connection with the higher-ups.
It's the higher-ups that ought to be caught.
Don't worry about that, O'Brien. They'll be caught, sooner or later. 2 minutes to go. It's 1:31 on the dot.
Wish they'd hurry up and blow. The suspense is getting me.
Me, too.
The kid must have told the truth about the rest of it being in Tacoma. The boys didn't find any of it around here.
Forsyth seemed to have plenty of money, yet I checked on him like you asked, and he isn't supposed to have any.
His bosses furnished him with all he needed to get the dynamite. I wonder how much he was to get for blowing up these ships.
Whatever it was, he'll never collect it now.
It's 1:32. 1 more minute. Get ready for the explosion.
I'll feel the shock for miles around.
Yeah, we better lie down or we'll be knocked down.
It's a shame Forsyth had to die like that. It's too good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Get set. Here it goes. Say, it's past 1:33. That's funny.
Maybe the kid was lying.
Well, he might have been. It's coming up 1:34.
Maybe something went wrong with the clock.
Yeah, it's possible. Might be any number of things.
I don't think it's going off.
Me neither. Feel like a big load been lifted off my chest.
Something sure went wrong. I think the kid was telling the truth. Forsyth miscalculated some way.
Which means it might still go off if jarred.
Well, anyway, that's all for tonight. No use risking lives unnecessarily. We'll get the hunt going tomorrow. Get word to the rest and let's fold up. I'm a nervous wreck.
The search was called off for the night to be taken up early in the morning. Every precaution was used, as the floating dynamite would be a constant menace until found. Late the next afternoon, down under the dock, Officers O'Brien and Himes noticed a dark object just below the surface of the water. Rowing close, they discovered the suitcase with its deadly contents. Carefully lifting it from the water, they carried it to nearby mud flats, where it could be safely opened. O'Brien and Himes volunteered to open the bomb.
Well, Say your prayers, mister.
Not scared, are you, O'Brien?
Me? Of course not. Playing with dynamite's nothing to me. I used to eat it when I was a baby.
You're growing up now. Let's open it. Sooner the better. Scrape the tar off the catches and don't breathe.
Seems to me we'd better breathe all we can now. Maybe in a few minutes we'll be able to. There. Now use the catch open. Boy, sounded like an explosion itself. Get the other one.
Don't rush me. Understand, I'm not scared. I'm just cautious. Ease that lid up. If you've never been gentle in your life, be gentle now.
All right. Hold on. Here goes. Hinge is rusted already. Look, there it is. 369 sticks of dynamite. Hey, for the love of Pete, cut those wires and do it quick.
It's a cinch.
Say, will you look at the face of that clock? Soaking wet. It's all swelled up.
And that swelling stopped the minute hand of the clock.
At exactly 1:31. Just 2 minutes from war.
In just a moment, we shall hear the concluding facts of our story. During this brief interval, may I say the verdict rendered by an impartial jury at the bar of public opinion is that Rio Grande Cracked is the gasoline of all-around police car performance. That its colleague in maximum motoring efficiency is Reolube, the 100% paraffin-based motor oil that withstands any engine heat or cold weather and sells for but $1.25 a quart at your Rio Grande dealers.
For his attempt to bomb the Haie Maru, Forsyth paid with his life. Federal agents are seeking the men who employed him, and his companion has been held to answer for his part in the plot. Definitely, the crime of Ralph Forsyth failed to pay.
Seattle Police calling all cars. Attention all cars to cancellation on broadcast 257 regarding a bombing. Suspect in this case drowned in Puget Sound. That is all. Harmon.
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for Rio Grande. Next week at this time, Rio Grande will present the case of the Portuguese crooner. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. Calling all cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office calling all cars. Attention all cars to broadcast 255 regarding a missing person. Be on the lookout for a woman described as blonde, 5 feet 5 inches, weight about 140 pounds. This woman speaks with a strong accent. May be headed for Yugoslavia. That's all. Rosenquist.
Whatever the major nations of the world decide to do, if anything, about the limitation of armaments, this much is a certainty. There can be no disarmament in the modern war against the enemies of society. Officers of the law would be battling against overwhelming odds were they forced to fight with obsolete guns, antiquated automobiles, and inferior gasoline that shows a yellow streak when called upon to meet an emergency. They must have the best of every kind of equipment. That is why it means so much to you as an individual motorist to know that Rio Grande Cracked is the gasoline chosen for this vital, distinctive public service. To know that wherever it is sold, Rio Grande Cracked supplies the quicker getaway, greater speed, maximum power and mileage for more police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency equipment wherever it is sold than any other brand. It is important to know that, like your city and county officials, the heads of your California state and federal governments also use this superior, equal to every emergency gasoline. It's no farther away than the nearest red and white Rio Grande dealer who specializes in Rio Grande Cracked, the most highly and justly recommended gasoline sold in the West. The story we are to hear tonight was secured through the cooperation of the office of Sheriff Eugene Biscaloos of Los Angeles County. Sheriff Biscaloos is in San Francisco on official business and has consented to open our program from the studios of KSFO.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. One of the quickest ways to sour the milk of human kindness is to hit a man in the pocketbook. However, in the story we are to hear tonight, we find a novel situation wherein the victims of a very clever swindler refused to believe that they had been swindled. The public should be aware of the depredations of a vast army.
They must learn to speak 3 different dialects in my country before they can speak to each other. It is so hard.
Dialects there should be a law against. But we take plenty gross out of that country with pictures right now.
Ah, that's the point. They love the moving pictures. I shall spend my fortune to have pictures made for them in one popular dialect. They will soon all speak 1 instead of 3.
That's an idea. It's not only colossal, it's big.
But you haven't heard all of it. Tell them, Francis.
I shall establish a fund in the schools to teach English, so they may enjoy the regular American film.
On a silver platter, you should be getting the Academy Award.
Oh, it is so embarrassing that I have not my money yet.
You will never tell us anything about yourself. Where did this fortune come from?
Yes, tell us.
My uncle, Anton Clemench in Yugoslavia, died, and leave my brother and I a string of macaroni factories. Also $8 million between us. Oh, it is very sad. I must wait for the estate to be settled.
Don't worry about it.
Certain that Frances Krager is in danger of some sort. The news of a fortune like that will get around. And she's such a sincere and trusting soul. Oh, we're all most anxious about her.
Yes, I'm sure you are. Just how much did she get into, how much did you help her?
That is not the point. Even if I knew, I wouldn't mention it. We want her protected. That is all I can tell you. So I'll come back tomorrow and expect to get some report of her from you.
Oh, we'll do everything we can.
And please remember to be discreet.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
I don't know. We better go easy. Why should she have killed the golden geese with that rubber paper?
That's mixing metaphors. Let's see what the banker with the bouncing paper has to say. This is Deputy Sheriff Willie of the Bunko Squad. Let me speak to your manager.
Maybe he was one of her tea-drinking partners, too.
Hello? I'm calling to find out what you're going to do with that surprise check Francis Krager gave you. Sure, it's the Bunko Squad. He doesn't think we're at all nice. Sure, there's some mistake. A bad check's always a mistake. A bad one. Of course, she's a fine woman. But have you checked up on this fortune in Yugoslavia? Oh, you think it would be insulting to her? All right. We just wondered.
So that is that. And when a hard-shell banker blubbers all over his vest about a woman with a beautiful soul...
And with her $650 paper hanging under his nose...
Who are we to doubt the spaghetti and meatball queen?
It's macaroni and bologna. Sheriff's office. Willie speaking. Oh, so your bank got the other $650 check. Yeah, I was talking to him. He's not going to do anything about it. Oh, you are? That's fine.
Of clever people who are constantly using their wits to live at the expense of their fellow men. Had many of the persons whom we shall hear about tonight been more alert to the operation of this type of criminal, a great deal of money would have been saved, and many words of sympathy would not have been wasted on an unappreciative crook. I sincerely hope that tonight's story will bring home the fact that crime does not pay.
Our scene opens in the office of the bunco squad of the Sheriff's Department. Deputy A.W. Willey and John Pennywit receive a visitor.
Frankly, I can't understand the attitude of Sheriff Biscaroos. I told him a woman had been kidnapped, and he sent me to the bunco squad. It's insulting to a fine woman. She is the most idealistic woman I have ever met. Everyone in Hollywood believes in her. She's tremendously rich.
She's a macaroni queen.
And she did a little paper hanging.
What do you mean by that expression, paper hanging?
You've been sent to us because even if she is a spaghetti queen, when she goes around hanging paper...
Excuse me. Deputy Willie means she passed bad checks. That's just a slang expression for it.
But she's been kidnapped and forced to cash these checks.
Just a minute. I know you're quite idealistic in your opinion of your friends, but as a writer, you can understand this. You can't prove Frances Krager has been kidnapped.
But we have the proof that she passed phony checks. That's why you've got to talk to the bunco squad until there's some proof she's been kidnapped. So let's talk.
Just tell us all you know about her, and we'll find her.
First, you must give me your word that everything I tell you will be in strictest confidence. Frances is a close friend of practically every important person in Hollywood, and they want her found, don't you understand? Not arrested.
Sure. Now, what about this spaghetti queen stuff she's been stringing you with?
It's macaroni, and she hasn't been stringing anybody. Frances has been entertained in wealthy homes and has told us of her wonderful plans to help the people of her native land, Yugoslavia. You see, the people in that country speak so many different dialects, it makes it awfully hard.
Oh, my dear, I think that's simply wonderful. It's the most altruistic thing I've ever heard.
As a producer for Colossal Pictures Incorporated, I can safely say it's not only altruistic, it's all terrific.
Really, Frances, I think the whole world should know what you're going to do.
Oh, please. I do not want the world to know. I do not want anyone to know. It must be a secret, for I do not want the credit for helping the people I love.
You're so frightfully genuine. That's the real reason all Hollywood has taken you to its heart.
They tell me in Yugoslavia I have also inherited the title of Duchess.
Really?
But I will not have it so. I wish to be just one of my people.
I know I'm hopelessly dull, but how can you teach them... what was it you wanted to teach them?
Oh, you cannot understand. The poor little children...
I knew all that money wouldn't bring anything but grief to Mom. She just ain't the type to have a lot of money.
Well, then you're sure she did have it left to her.
Of course. I saw it announced in the paper.
What paper?
Well, the one her husband wrote for.
Oh, I see. He wasn't your father.
Nope. My pa was a cowboy. But Mom left him and married a doctor in Salt Lake City, and then she left him and married Frank Krager in Chicago. She hasn't had a happy life.
Yeah, but she has gotten around a lot.
Now, this husband she has for the time being is a writer for the paper that announced her inheritance?
Yeah. And right after it, she got over 5,000 proposals for marriage from men that had heard about the money. Ain't it awful how mercenary some people are? Of course, Mother's good looking, but none of the men ever even seen her. So she didn't take any of them up.
Not even at the suggestion of her present husband?
No, Frank's crazy about her. He gave her the money to go to the old country when she inherited all the macaroni factories.
He financed the trip, eh? Well, do you suppose you could give us any addresses in Chicago where your mother might visit?
Well, I never knew anything about her boyfriends.
The addresses don't have to be in any specific classification. Just any place she might visit. You know, even with platonic friends.
Well, I can give you a couple of addresses, but they ain't platonic friends. They're Americans.
Oh, well, they'll do very nicely. That'll save us the trouble of getting an interpreter.
And very quietly and discreetly, the Chicago police arrested Frances Krager on April 15, 1934. Miss Marjorie Fairchild, an investigator for District Attorney Buren Pitts, flew east to bring back the blonde idealist. But upon her arrival in Los Angeles, her influential friends rallied to rescue her from the authorities before she could be questioned.
I certainly hope they won't have her handcuffs. It'd be like putting the Mona Lisa in the stocks.
Oh, my dear, they wouldn't dare. I'd see the mayor.
Such a story. A scenario it would make. A scenario. It gives me a mucus of an idea. I'll write that story if it takes every writer on the lot to do it.
You really should get her to play the leading part. She's just perfect for it.
There she is now, Frances.
Oh, hello, Frances.
Frances, dear, here we are.
Oh, my dear faithful friends, I'm overcome with emotion that you have not forgotten me. And I'm covered with shame that you should see me so.
We have the best lawyer in town for you.
We won't let them persecute you.
No, just tell them who you are, darling.
It is the enemies of my country that steal me away. They wish to hold my country down.
What the story? It'll be magnanimous.
These enemies, they do not wish to see my people speak one language. Oh, it is so cruel. The poor little children.
The first scene will be terrific. It'll be a mother teaching the baby to say mama in 3 dialects. The baby gets disgusted and says, nuts.
Oh, my.
But for you, my friends, I will carry on. These enemies of my...
Just come right on down. Goodbye. The other banker doesn't believe in any Yugoslavian Santa Claus. He's going to swear out a warrant for Francis, and that's all we need.
Why, the old meanie.
To the home of Francis Prager went Detectives Willie and Pennywit. The officers sought information.
Yes.
Good morning. This is the home of Frances Krager, isn't it?
Yes, but she's not
We
in.
know she's not here. We're investigating her disappearance.
Oh, I'm so glad. Won't you come in?
Thank you. I see you know that she's disappeared.
Yes, I'm Mrs. Gray, her housekeeper. So many of her friends have been calling up. She has more friends than anyone I ever worked for. And I'm as worried as they are about her. Do you think anything has happened to her?
Well, we don't think so. You knew her quite well. Can you tell us anything about her that might give us some idea where she is?
Only that with everyone knowing about her fortune, she might be in danger. She's so kind to everyone and so unsuspecting. I'm really frightened.
Did anyone ever have anything against her? Did she have any enemies?
Not a one in the world. Everybody loved her.
Well, then, we're going to have to make an unusual request. We'd like to look through some of her personal effects. Letters and that sort of thing, you know. It might give us some clue as to where she is.
Certainly. Just come upstairs.
Thank you.
If anything's happened to her, I'm going to feel just terrible. I was more of a friend to her than a servant. She was that way with everybody. She was just like a queen.
So we've heard.
There's her room. If there's anything else I can do, just let me know.
Thank you, we will.
This is a queen's boudoir, all right.
Yeah. Hey, we better go plenty easy. At least keep our feet off the bedspread.
Why is it that every time I've been up late the night before, I've got to work in a bedroom the next day? Uh-oh. Torn up letters in the wastebasket. You patch them together while I look through the dresser drawers.
You always give me the interesting work.
Yeah. There's enough clothes here for the Yugoslavian army if it was female.
Well, these letters aren't any puzzle. They all tell the same story. And the signatures look like the real McCoy. They're from some of the biggest shots in the picture business. Invitations to parties, dinners, and stuff.
Here's the evidence of her trip to Europe. It's right on top here. I'll bet she's been handling it recently. Well, we'll just borrow it and get some nice fresh fingerprints.
A passport? Every passport has the next of kin to be notified in case of accident. See what that one says.
Well. Mrs. Sally Nelson, Southgate, California. Relationship, daughter.
Sally's going to have some visitors if we can just find Southgate.